Hello and welcome to Creature Corner. Tonight, I am your host, Jared Krichevsky. Our regular guest host, Matt Millard, will not be joining us tonight. He's off exploring time and space in the netherworld. But tonight, I'm very pleased to be joined by our guest artist tonight is Adam Milicevic, who is a concept artist and 3D modeler at Legacy Effects, and has been working in the industry for many, many years doing concept art and design. So we're very pleased to have Adam join us tonight. Please welcome Adam Milicevic. Adam, are you there? Can you hear me? Adam? I can see you. Can he see me? Let's see if he can. Hello? Is it me? Is my audio bad? No, cannot hear me. Let me, how's everybody else doing? Can you hear me? That looks like I'm on the right. It's giving you blowback. Oh no. Okay. Well, we were just working, a minute ago. So just give us a second. Yeah. Why don't you come out and then, and rejoin in? Same link I sent you before. Hey, it happens. You know, what can you do? Yes. Such is the joy of live streaming. So it is what it is. While we're waiting on Adam to come back. Oh, here he is. How about now, Adam? There it is. Yeah, that's so weird. Let's try that. That's so weird. Sometimes I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know why. Like it was fine. It was fine. I have connection issues.
Well, now I can hear you. It's probably, I don't know, maybe kicking over the internet, the Wi-Fi, or who knows what it is. Did I lose you again? Uh-oh. Internet joys. How's everybody else doing? Can you hear me? Can everybody else hear me?
Okay.
Oh. You have to cycle through your
yeah, it's slowing down.
Okay, so it just got hit. Okay. He's getting the internet hug of death. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Sorry about that.
Well, cabled in. Oh, that's so weird. I don't know. That's so funny because, like, Adam and I were chatting just before this, not a problem. And then the minute we went live, we lost everything. So, okay. Well, we're gonna figure this out, and in the meantime, I'm gonna drop Adam's portfolio in the chat, so feel free to check that out. Yeah. Okay. All right, guys. Well, that was a bit surprising. Sometimes we get to streaming, and the demand of streaming is it's too much. It's okay. All right, folks. Well, it's one of those things. Oh, is that any better? We're gonna try. No. Okay. Somebody's still on AOL.
It's just you're talking in slow motion.
Oh man. Okay. All right. Well, still nothing. Why don't you
you want to do another time?
Yeah, we'll you know what we'll do is we'll have to try again at another time. So, well, anything can happen. Here. We'll try it one more time. We're gonna try it, and we'll bring him back in.
Okay.
So I guess in the meantime, feel free to check out Adam's work, and if we can hopefully get him back up and running. But was pretty excited to talk to Adam. But his work is really, really cool. So I highly recommend checking it out. Adam has lots of industry experience as well. We were going to tailor the conversation towards 3D printing, because we were having a conversation about how there's a bit of a gap from the CG experience, like going from CG to like a 3D print and molding pipeline, which is something Legacy Effects does. Adam and I are colleagues at Legacy. So we've not gotten to work on projects together, but like probably unintentionally have, passed work back and forth. Anyway, so, well, since anything can happen, and that's the way of the internet, we're gonna put on some spooky music. Otherwise, we'll try again. We'll put on some spooky music and see how it goes. How's that going, Adam? Any better?
There. Yeah, for now.
Oh, I meant to ask, like, do you have Dropbox running or anything like that?
No.
Dropbox is one of those like sneaky hidden guys, or if there's any processes running. But it seems like you can hear me now.
Yeah, I'm good now. Let's see. Double check.
Better.
Yeah, no processes should be.
Well, hopefully for anybody watching later, they can just fast forward through the nonsense. just like skip like 15 minutes in. What do you think? Any better?
Oh yeah, it seems to be better now.
Okay, great. Well, rocky start, but glad you're still with us. So Adam, why don't you introduce yourself a little bit and tell us, one, how you came to like CG art, and then two, like how you came to creatures and things like that, and then round us all the way out at how you ended up at Legacy.
Okay. Well, I went to school in Orlando, Florida. I went to UCF, and I went there intended to go for film, ended up going for fine arts, and I was working at Universal Studios while I went to school. And at some point, there was an internship for doing graphic design for a theme park, and then that kind of just took me down the theme park route of designing attractions and stuff like that. And then so I went on.
You were working at Universal.
Yeah, when I was in college, I was just running around in monster costumes and going to school. And then then after that, there was a short-lived park called Hard Rock Park, and so I left. I left to go work on that, and following that, I worked. Came back, that was in South Carolina, and then following that, I went back to Universal to work on the Transformers ride, and that's where I started sort of picking up matte painting skills and stuff like that. Because at the time, we were working with ILM to design that attraction, so it was pretty much just a bunch of theme park designers, and then we had to sort of start drawing and painting like film production designers. And then following that, I realized I wanted to pursue more like horror-based stuff and entertainment stuff. So after working on a couple projects, I went over and I worked in Japan at the Universal there for years, art directing and designing characters and costumes and sets and whatever for Halloween Horror Nights and different like pop-up attractions. Like they had a Resident Evil attraction there, and that was one of mine. And
so it was like you worked at these attractions, and you were designing these whole a part of the team, I assume, designing this whole world for people to experience.
Yeah,
so that's a lot. I mean, that's a lot of work.
Yeah, on the Japan projects, I was an art director there. So the first few years I was doing it alone. Because they were just sort of introducing haunted attractions and sort of mature entertainment stuff. And then after a couple years, I got to hire a friend of mine named Race Bird, and he's a teacher at actually Idaho like Tech University or something like that. But he teaches like Unreal and concept design and stuff like that. So eventually it was me and him, and so we would pretty much just be tasked with like designing the sets and designing the show and the characters and engineering costumes. And so we were just sort of working with a lot of like individual vendors to do that. And that's actually kind of what pushed me into ZBrush, because I used to draw and paint traditionally.
Okay.
But it was like when you're doing costume designs and everyone needs to know what every angle of this thing needs to look like, it's a lot easier to, a lot more efficient to sculpt something and then render out the angles so everybody has, clear image and clear direction.
We're all communicating on the same page.
Yeah.
You can look at around. Yeah, because costume illustration has that kind of limitation. You're like, well, what does the back look like? And then you gotta draw it all over again. Not that there's anything wrong with like drawing it all over again, but it can feel laborious.
Yeah, when you're doing like 30 characters and you have 4 months to open a show, it's like, yeah, it's just not efficient.
You don't have time also to like just pour over the drawing and like what every little line means, and it's a you would say it's a different pace than like say games work, where sometimes it's really methodical from the beginning. Everything has to be like really thought out. So so it's a fast-paced environment, right?
Oh yeah, super. Yeah, because like if you're doing any sort of seasonal thing in a theme park environment, you have no money and no time.
It's got to go up now.
What's that?
It's got to go up now. Yesterday.
Exactly. And honestly, there's a lot of times where like if you're art directing, you're like I've literally given a pen sketch to somebody in a meeting, and it's like, okay, go make that, and then I'll just art direct you as you go, because it's just, a small piece of the puzzle, and you got to focus on just everything else, and
just like, and then you have so much stuff to design, I'm sure. And people don't realize, like, everything in a theme park attraction. And I've been to the Transformers one and at our Universal. I haven't been into the one in Florida.
Oh, but, no. So that's the one I worked on. The Florida is a reproduction.
oh shoot.
Yeah.
So you've been at the you worked on the Universal Hollywood. Yeah. And then they recreated it for Florida. I got it.
Correct. Yeah, we designed everything at the time out of Florida.
Oh, that's awesome. See, when that ride first came out, now I'm a huge Transformers fan. So when that ride came out, I made my wife go stand in line with me for 3.5 hours so we could go ride the Transformers ride. And then it's over in like a minute. It's so fast.
When at the ride, did you look behind you?
Well, oh yeah. I'm I was like, okay. I was everywhere because, like, for one, I didn't want to miss anything if I was going to be in it. So, so I love that ride. So that's awesome. And I guess what I would say to people, like, it's a huge, huge job because all that stuff has to be designed, the layout, there's little props everywhere that had to be recreated from the movies. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah. When when you're leaving, there's those little frenzy blades.
Yeah.
So that was one of my assignments. And we went through so much, just like iterations on what the texture of the blade is, because it wasn't actually established on screen, and how do you make it more interesting and accessible, and at the same time, like, is it too scary for guests? Okay, you take a lot into consideration. The interesting,
oh man, and I'm sure that stuff on an art direction level, every detail got versioned.
When I was essentially a concept artist or attraction designer on that one, and we designed that ride like 3 or 4 times, like the whole thing.
from like the ground up, like, okay, let's start it again. Right?
Yeah. I mean, there's certain, like, things like your building and your facility stuff that you have to maintain, but as far as like the thematics, it's just readdressed and
wow.
Yeah.
And then I'm sure ILM had input, and then I'm sure Michael Bay had input as well.
Yeah.
Universal has input. So that's like a lot of layers of approval to go through.
Oh yeah. And it was interesting because when we were designing it to coincide with the third movie. And we had already been on the project for a while, and the second movie hadn't even come out yet. Wow. So you sort of have to create this timelessness, like, as well, so it can just like be cohesive to whatever comes out.
And then on top of that, you have robots, and robots are insanely just like labor intensive, right?
Yeah.
And not just robots, but the Transformers language that also has to be learned. So you have to pick all that stuff up too, right?
Yeah. Working with Hasbro at the time, though, was really like I've worked on a lot of projects since then, and Hasbro was like the only partner that gave us like a style guide.
Okay.
And a legitimate, here's the language, here's this, here's that, like, and I've worked with a lot of different properties since then, and none of them just take the care to create that. It's kind of like, oh, whatever.
Yeah.
But they had everything down to a science, and it was like they were great to work with.
Like animation, I know goes down to that level of like, sculpt. We like this shape, not this shape. That's a level that they go down to. And yeah, when you're working on some of this stuff, you're not necessarily going to get that. So you might have to on the fly learn how to sculpt in a language that you don't know or is not in your comfort zone.
Yeah, there was it was really interesting because like once when we were designing the thing, like, and then ILM came in and talked to us, like they had said like one sentence about the aesthetic of Nest, which sort of made everything click, and like nobody really like perceived it. It was the whole thing that like Nest doesn't have funding, so all of their facilities are reclaimed facilities that are repurposed. So they have to have like multiple layers of history on them, and like so you have wires and pipes that aren't being used anymore, and then you have the overlay of the Nest stuff, and then like, and so it was, but it's something you don't really, when there's junk sculptures fighting in the streets and you can't pay attention to much. It's like, you don't really pick up on it when you're in the theater.
It's very. It's all happen, and those movies. There's a lot going on. So it's hard to like pick up on those little things. But like, when you're standing in line for 3.5 hours, you definitely have the time to look at all that stuff. If people aren't on their phone. Now me, I went through that ride and I took pictures of everything because I'm that kind of nerd. So it was real fun for me to sit there and like nitpick all the designs and everything. So I definitely poured over your work and didn't even know it. Oh, did I lose you?
Yeah, no, it means a lot that you enjoyed it. So
that was awesome.
Am I cutting out again?
I thought so. A little bit. Oh, seems better. So Adam, why don't you take us through how you got to legacy effects?
Okay, I can.
Oh, are we back? Let me know if
so
there we go.
Oh, am I phasing out again?
Now let's try. How's that?
Okay. Am I up to speed or?
There's a little bit of a delay.
Okay. I'm good. Can you hear me?
Oh yeah. I can hear you. You're good.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So when I was go ahead.
I think we're still catching up. Do you have any other browsers open?
Okay.
I think we're still on the delay.
No, I got nothing.
Nothing. Okay.
Yeah, I got everything. You want me to pop in and out again?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. Such is the magic of the internet. Hope everybody is doing good today. I know I'm recovering from the Oscars, as we all are. So, congratulations to the people at Dune, by the way. I was sick. All right, Adam.
Yes.
Much better.
Okay.
I don't know. Maybe just every so often we just got to get you out and in again.
That's all. Yeah. Sorry about that.
No sweat. So why don't you take us through how you got to Legacy?
So Legacy, it kind of started when I was in Japan, because I worked with Shinichi Wakasa over there, and he built the Godzilla suits for the films.
Oh,
the
wow.
Japanese films. Yeah, he kind of, because it's it's small community of creature makers over there. So Universal was kind of a big, it's a big entity over there. So when it comes to costumes and everything, he sort of creates all that over there. And I didn't know I'd be working with them. And after my first attraction, they had like created some monsters I designed into real things that people were running around in. And I kind of started pursuing makeup when I got back home, or not necessarily makeup, but effects. Pursued that for a little bit, realized it wasn't really for me. And then eventually just started hammering on digital and doing that, knowing that was kind of the way to go. My girlfriend worked at Legacy Effects, and after pandemic and everything, we couldn't travel to Japan anymore, and so she had, recommended me to reach out to them, and I just pretty much built up my modeling skills and 3D printing knowledge for fabrication, and went to CCE, which is Creative Character Engineering.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, so I went there for a brief time, and we did some stuff on The Boys, the new season, and then after that, Legacy had needed people, so I went over there.
So it was only because of the pandemic that you weren't able to go back to Japan.
Well, yeah, it was a sweet gig. But Legacy's been a place that I've wanted to,
definitely
work at, obviously. It was just, I think the pandemic was really just kind of a blessing in disguise, because it allowed me to take the time and sit down and like just develop certain skills to be able to like transition over into that field.
That's really cool. And now you're over there. That's got to be a bit crazy.
Yeah, no, it's fun. I've been there for just over a year now, and just doing like modeling and concept and on just everything from costumes to creatures and characters. And then what I like about it is you can really get down to the nitty gritty and design eyes and teeth, and like you're really you really have to have like sort of a good sense of every piece that comes together for the thing. It's not just about like the one painting, but how everything's gonna work down the road.
Yeah, because you're passing it off to, I mean, and I'm assuming you're engineering for print, but you have to pass that off to mold makers and painters and then costumers. Like that has to fit on a real body.
Yeah. When we typically start a project, we you'll get some concept art that is, I know you've seen a lot of the costume designs out there where it's a hyper stylized person with the actor's face just photoshopped on it to give you a sense of everything, and the reality is like sometimes those aren't on their bodies, and then we'll get the live scan of the actor and
the proportions are way different.
Oh yeah.
When you look at a scan of somebody and your brain does this trick, and this person from film and TV, they look one way in film and TV, and then you look at their scan, which is their real body in 3D, and you're like, this is so bizarre.
Yeah.
It's the weirdest kind of effect that happens. Anyway, so you have to fit a design on top of that.
Yeah. So it's like a lot of it's not quick work, but you have to be
No.
quick, but it's not quick work.
You have to and like it's not just like changes are going to be made, like a lot.
Yeah.
You're gonna get notes. It's gonna go up the chain. There's gonna be, people who have to approve this at various levels.
Yeah, a big thing is particularly like working in a place like that, and the same was true for like CCE when I was there, is like working non-destructively and in iteration. So you can like change things if you need to, or go back, and because and then also just working on two or three iterations of something at the same time, like planning for that, like because
Yeah.
you never show them just the one. Like you always have to like give them options. Like,
Oh yeah, because they need to see options. They need, they want to be a part of the process too, in a way. Like they want to comment on everything, and as they should. They're paying for it. But there are times when, as an artist, you just have to be, flexible enough to deal with all that.
yeah,
because there are times when it will get very frustrating, because you're trying to communicate something in a 3D format, and they're trying to communicate what they want as well.
yeah, and sometimes it's like, I mean, the main game is nobody really knows what they want, but they know what they don't want.
Yeah.
And so you'll go through a lot of iterations of just no, until you finally hit something. Like it's very, just for anyone, it's very rarely I've seen anything just like right out of the gate. Just, yep, that's the one. Like,
very, very rarely does that happen. You're trying to get to something that they can comment on early on, and that's very hard to do. You have to kind of predict everything. I don't know. You have to read people. You have to read what the project calls for. It's challenging. Like it is definitely what I would say is thought intensive. Like you're thinking about what all this stuff is going on.
yeah.
Like, I don't know if you've ever experienced that. Like at the end of the day, I'm not like physically exhausted. I'm just mentally exhausted from all the thought that goes into it. Are you still there? Oh, might have lost him. Well, hopefully.
Yeah. And like what's tough is like,
I think I'm still on the delay. We got to do the thing.
Yeah. Are you hearing me okay?
There's a delay. Oh man, that is some crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. We'll do the pop. There we go.
Okay.
There we are.
Yeah, and to the exhaustion, it's like if you're working on like a property or something that has a history, like everybody's interpretation of what that is different, you know? because everybody experienced it differently and has a different vibe, and that I find that sometimes that's hard. Like I particularly found it in Japan that it was difficult dealing with a property like American properties, because you'd have to work with these, and we all have an interpretation of what it is. Like The Exorcist, for example.
Interesting.
Like we did an Exorcist maze over there, and I know why it's scary, to me, and why people here think it's scary. But over there, it's more like it's all the visuals that were scary, because the spirituality of it doesn't have the same impact.
Oh, interesting.
And so it's like,
that's really interesting.
Yeah. And so you would have to you just sort of have to dive in and look at everything from a different perspective till you hit the mark. And
what was there a solution that you guys came up with for that, or?
Yeah. So over there, over the years, what we sort of figured out doing those mazes was that they considered the American haunted house as something it was like an exhibit. You walk through a room and there's somebody attacking somebody, and you're not involving the guests in any way.
Okay, they're watching.
Exactly. And so using the Exorcist one as an example, we always gave the guests an objective and a prop. And so they would go through the maze and Regan would chase them. And then at the end, there was a priest there, and he would give the guests the holy water and say, you have to go in there and finish the exorcism. And then so they would go in on their own and throw the holy water, and then they get vomited on, which was just water with green light in it. And then but now they're in it. They're being chased by this thing because they've angered the thing, and it makes it more scary because there's
so they need a little bit more interactivity.
Oh yeah.
For that. Whereas maybe in an American audience, you can just jump out and boo, and then that's it, and we're like ha ha ha, and we go on our way.
Yeah, but they want. We were told to make stuff scary. So when we were over there, we were just doing everything we could to get people involved.
That's got to be so hard.
It's hard to keep it safe.
Oh, okay. Without someone having a reaction.
Yeah. We our Resident Evil maze, guests, they got airsoft guns that were retrofitted with lasers, and it was, they got to go fight zombies, and if they got infected, they went through a winning ending and a losing ending, and so we made the maze pretty much a game, but I think over there, because we had to control the show so well, so tight, we were able to get away with it, and everyone's just very respectful of enjoying their time, and so we were able to get away with certain things that couldn't necessarily get away with here, just because of the nature of the different events.
That's crazy. So that kind of stuff is always fascinating, what plays with different audiences around the world. Was there anything that stood out to you that they need, for example, that or differences between how we react to stuff?
One interesting thing was my first year there. I worked on a maze based on the Mummy, and it was pretty much, it didn't really have any resonation with the audience there, so I didn't have to stick to anything too strict. And so
the movie wasn't necessarily a hit, but they're we want to build the Mummy in Japan.
Yeah, like that kind of thing. And so, but they're like, oh, you don't have to stick to the movie, just do whatever you want. I was like, okay. And one, and I had two mazes, and one of them had giant demon god, Anubis monsters, And it was just all the Egyptian gods like zombified and black metal. Like it was just like I was like, let's just have fun with it. Well, children's entertainment growing up is giant monsters and big costumes. And
Right.
so whereas like that's an intimidating factor in an American audience, it's children's entertainment in Japan.
Okay.
And so you put a big monster in a maze like that, and it's evoking children's entertainment, not adult entertainment.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, that makes sense.
And so we soon found out that the scariest thing you could do there is the ring. If you make anything look like the ring, it's just inherently scarier.
Really? Long hair, dark makeup.
Yeah.
Pale.
The Onyo demon, like
okay.
Just anything like that, because there's still like a big there's still a big like sense of spirituality.
I was gonna say it's the spiritualism, and you know their culture is so full of various demons and spirits and mischievous spirits and all kinds of stuff for everything. Everything is imbued with spirit.
Yeah.
So that's really interesting that it's a grudge or you know, malicious spirit that's what scares them.
Yeah. And zombies are huge.
Zombies are huge. Okay, that explains it.
Zombies are huge.
And they're still big here. I mean, you know, we may be sick of Walking Dead, but we still love zombies. I love the Walking Dead exhibit at I say exhibit, the attraction at Universal.
Oh, Hollywood.
That's still one of my favorites.
That's a fun one.
You know, so you know, it's a great little set, little environment, you know, that they have. So yeah, that's awesome. Would you say working on film is better, different, worse, more difficult?
It's I mean, just my experience, it's more high pressure. You don't have some of the timelines that you do in the parks, but
the pressure part definitely.
Yeah, I do think that I mean, you know, I think there's trade-offs because like when you you know, when you do something for a production, it's one shot or it's got to last a month or what, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, but you know, when you work in the parks, it's like, well, this is a 5-year installation. Like, you know, it's gotta resist, it's gotta endure during an earthquake. It's gotta
you've got kids and the things that they bring and touch.
Exactly.
All that has to be considered. Kids climbing on things, kids touching things getting sticky. You know, it's got to be washed.
Yeah.
You know, nightly. Yeah, that's crazy.
So it's a different. I guess it's just a different discipline of design.
Yeah. But with permanence in mind.
Yeah. Heavier investment, I would say.
But film is all trickery and cheats.
That's why it's movie magic.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, I remember when I first started at Legacy, Scott Patton gave me a tour, and he showed me, you know, it was a piece of the underwater suit, and I was, you know, and he's like, you know, hold this, pick it up, and I picked it up, and I was like, oh wow, what, you know, like it doesn't feel real, but it looks incredibly real, you know, and that's all it has to do is just, you know, pass the film test, you know. Does it look good on film?
I love Scott.
Oh, Scott's amazing. That was my first introduction. You know, I mean, I had worked with everybody. You know, I was hired by John actually. But Scott, you know, he asked Scott to give me the tour, and that was really fun. He's like, all right, listen up, kid. You know, because I'm like, you know, a wide-eyed, like, ooh, toys everywhere.
And I think Scott, one of Scott's first sentences to me, I was like, talking about rendering or something, and he goes, "Don't render." He goes, "No one's gonna like it." Yeah, well, he goes, "No, like it doesn't matter." And I was
Doesn't matter. Don't bother. That's hilarious.
I think he was like, "Occlusion pass? What are you doing?"
What are you?
Yeah, I love him.
It's the best. Yeah, it's the projects are high pressure, but the people are great.
Yeah,
and that to me always makes a huge difference. Because when stuff is high pressure, you want to be able to like laugh with people about it.
You need it. Like it. There's nothing worse than because you're sort of going through the trenches with everybody.
Yeah, they're all experiencing the same pressure.
Yeah, so and so you want it to be with people that you want to be around.
You can laugh about it with, and that's actually an important thing that Matt and I have talked about, is that like the art stuff will come, but you got to be a cool person, and it really, really helps to have a sense of humor, like a good sense of humor that you can just laugh stuff off.
Oh yeah.
Because, you'll experience things, or stuff will happen. Again, pressure gets heaped on all the time. And you just have to be willing to just take it all in stride. And especially if you get tough critique or a tough client, particularly tough client.
Yeah, it's you gotta, you really need to have a thick skin. Anyone interested in putting your soul on paper and then having it judged harshly.
Yeah.
It's yeah.
I've talked about this with buddies, but we've been in there where you have a client, sitting right behind you, and they're just, going at it. And a buddy of mine, he was torn between two art directors. We had the in-house art director and we had the project art director. And so they were both going behind him on a project. And I sit over and I watch him, and he kind of looks at me and he's like, "This is horrible." and I could see his soul kind of float and leave his body as he was just sitting there, as they're nitpicking his work, down to the smallest pixel.
That's tough.
I mean, it ultimately it's for an image that, or for a project that, will eventually be on the bargain bin at Target, at some point.
It's funny that you said that, because when I was younger, I would always say I'm going to spend my whole life working to make the bottom shelf at the Best Buy.
Yeah. Yeah. Or it's streaming on Tubi, with ads, or if you're lucky, it gets a replay on TBS, a nightly replay, and then that's kind of where it goes. And every so often you pick it up and you remember that experience, and you're like, "Oh, that was a total shit show," or "That was really fun, but everybody hated it." So you just kind of throw your hands up.
Yeah, it's funny because I've had friends work on stuff for years that I've never heard of. And it's like, oh,
yeah. That is I was thinking about that earlier, is some of the inherent risk of concept art itself, because it's just an idea. It's a visualized idea. And there's no guarantee that any of the work that you're doing will ever see the light of day.
Mm-hmm.
You kind of, there's risk involved with taking it on. Now, you assume because they're paying you, for a job and they're tasking you with this, that like they're going to see it through. But I've certainly worked on projects that will never happen, and or are buried in folders and folders of stuff. And you also have to be willing to just make the art for the art, and every so often you come back to it in a little folder. Did I lose you again? I think it's when I go on a diatribe. Yep. I think it's when I talk too much. Maybe it's because I talk too much. But he's back.
It looks like it's a rev up thing, I guess.
Maybe it's when I start talking.
I'm not sure.
I don't know. But
yeah, I've come across old hard drives of stuff that I've like forget I even like. I was like, I did this. Like,
it's a little crazy, and at least like you get to gauge how you've grown.
Yeah, that's yeah. You're happy you've grown, but then you're like ashamed that you ever did some of the stuff.
Yeah, I look at junior work that I did from like 8-9 years ago, and I'm like, woof. But that's good because it just shows that you are making progress at some point. Just waiting for that delay to catch up.
Oh, I think I'm good now.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
But so you were saying you were at that Universal job for what, 8 years?
Something like that, yeah.
Wow.
2011 or something was the first, or 2012, something. Yeah, that was the first maze. Yeah, so I would.
Yeah, 8 years is a long time.
Yeah, I would spend the better part of a year there, and then come home and sort of freelance. I was constantly teaching myself stuff and software and whatever. And
yeah, I would say that's something that you always have to do, is just have a desire to keep learning new stuff.
Yeah,
because it's always going to keep changing. So, Adam, what are you working on?
Well, you had mentioned horror folk, and now I'm just thumbing around doing like a tegu.
Oh yeah. With like, it looks like the bird is like coming out of the flesh.
Yeah.
Oh, man, yeah, I love that. That's a cool twist. I haven't seen that. Like a violent.
Like, yeah, it's like because you always see it with the mask, and I'm like, well, what if it's the what the mask is hiding underneath?
That's beautiful.
Skin.
I love it. Let's see, off the wall question. Since you're adjacent to the entertainment world, do you guys know any working concept artists that are also actors? I don't know a lot. Most artists that are in the industry, they've chosen to just do that kind of exclusively, or things that are mostly in the art world. So I don't know a lot of artists that are also like going on auditions, for example. So that's not something I hear a lot of. Now, I had a theater degree. I came out to LA and did some acting for years at like local theaters, and growing up as a kid, I was also I had an agent and did commercials and things like that. So I have experience like going on auditions and doing that life. So I would say it's very hard to juggle concept art and acting at the same time, mostly because both are very time intensive. Just getting good at concept art is very time intensive. Acting is also demanding in that like you would have to go on an audition at the drop of a hat. So if you're a working concept artist and you have a deadline, but you have to go run and do an audition, that would be very difficult, I think, to manage. So unless you're able to manage that and you have that relationship with both your clients and your agent, if they're sending you out on auditions, then, by all means go for it. But I don't know any personally that are like concept artists that are also like doing commercial auditions or things like that. A lot of concept artists that I know, they tend to transition towards directing or production design or art direction. So moving up kind of that way, as opposed to doing character work. Some artists, I guess, like if you think about like Justin Roiland and like Rick and Morty. So he's drawing his stuff, he's producing animation, and he's also voicing everything. That's pretty close, I would say. So maybe closer to animation would be the equivalent. I don't know. Adam, what are your thoughts?
I do know that Neville Page.
Oh, Neville Page. That's right, Neville.
He gets the occasional cameo because he'll test the makeup on himself.
Yeah. That's right.
I made. He can just put him in there. So
that's funny because he's also designing makeups, and he's a makeup artist. So that's a very good point.
Yeah, if you're and I mean on that note, like a lot of the guys at Legacy, they're also performing and puppeteering and like
yeah.
So yeah, I mean depending on the path you take, performance goes hand in hand, but no one's gonna see your face. Are you trying to get people to see your face? Is that what you want?
Like, yeah. If you want FaceTime, yeah, that's a good point because like a lot of artists at Legacy, they have SAG cards, for example, because they're on set, and they're you're right, they're performing in makeup. So I mean that's probably that's another close way to put it. So yeah, that's good. That's a good point.
Yeah, there's a way to perform, but there's no like it's niche.
It is very niche. It's a small world and community. It's very, very small. A lot of my auditions are self-tapes now and shift to remote work. I was curious. Yeah, I mean, if you're able to manage auditions and a concept art lifestyle, there's no reason why you shouldn't. Like, do it. A lot of concept artists try and balance it out, with other things going on. So.
When I was younger, I did stand-up comedy for like 4 years.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. It's extremely difficult to do both.
Man, stand-up comedy. Now I've tried stand-up. I've gotten up and done stand-up. I took classes and did all that. It is hard. It is way hard.
Yeah.
Even if you're funny, even if you're a funny person.
Well, it's a lot like concept art because you're putting yourself out there and being judged instantaneously.
But we're not in concept. We're not judged by belligerent drunks.
No.
I mean, unless someone's like on social media and they're drinking, then I don't know. But yeah, comedy it's hard because that crowd they're coming at you. They're coming for you.
Yeah.
And they will let you know how you feel, or how they feel. They will let you know. Not that I bombed though. Did you bomb? I never bombed.
I mean you'll bomb, but I think like it was just really tough because when I did it, my jokes were very nerdy.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
if I had a younger crowd, like around my age at the time, that was great. I had a good night. But it's like one time I like got sent out to go host at it was essentially like a senior living area, and I'm like, why did you send me here? This isn't. Have you seen my act? And
Oh no,
it did not go well. So, it was, you know,
they're just like, what?
Yeah, what's a transformer?
What's a transformer? That's funny. When I did it, I was doing. I was 18. So barely any life experience. So I was doing jokes on Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah.
So you can imagine how like cringeworthy it was.
It's
Thank God. Like this was before hand cell phones and shit.
Yeah, it was fun. When I did it though, I was like, I'm telling jokes about Transformers and I'm gonna make it work. And I eventually like created bits that would click with everybody, and like a lot of self-deprecation. That was an important thing with if you're trying to do nerd humor. Like you have to be self-deprecating.
You have to be. It's a requirement. Otherwise, you can't take yourself seriously.
No, you got to click with the room.
You got to click with the room. Yeah. And if the room thinks you're a nerd, you're a nerd. But I say, have pride in it. Enjoy your nerddom.
Oh yeah. Nerd culture is very different than when I was younger.
Absolutely. I think that's one of the definitely one of the cooler aspects of today. There's a flip side to that as well, but like, my kid, dresses up in Spider-Man stuff all day. He has an entire catalog of Avengers movies to watch.
Mm-hmm.
That is so super cool to me.
Yeah, I just remember being excited for the 1970s Spider-Man TV show.
Yes.
With the live action one where the guy's risking his life because he's tied to a rope and he's climbing a building.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember like Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends being on TV, and that was kind of like it. I do remember like the goofy Thor and Captain America stuff like way back. This is before anyone took any of those characters seriously.
The Daredevil one, did you see that one? But he's just a ninja.
Oh,
yeah. Daredevil makes an appearance on the Hulk, the Incredible Hulk, and they don't like he's just a ninja. Like there's no nod to the costume.
That's hilarious. That's so weird. But I mean, if they're lucky these days, they got all that cool stuff. Oh, let me ask you this. Did you see the Batman yet?
I did.
Okay. What were your thoughts? Did you enjoy it?
I liked it. That's the general thought.
General consensus, good.
The general consensus is I liked it. I do think there is such a menagerie of villains. I'm sick of seeing the same 3 villains over and over and over again.
I agree. I definitely agree.
That's my only thing. Like a lot of those characters didn't necessarily have to be Catwoman or Penguin, or like you could have switched them out like with other characters.
Well, I think just knowing how studios think is they're like, we have to do the familiar thing. We have to hit all the old notes just to let people know that, hey, it's okay. You can come on in. You know, we got a new Batman that's very scary for everybody. So just letting you know, you can come here. It's in good hands.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
Oddly enough, though, like Godzilla, the Godzilla franchise in Japan suffers from the same thing.
yeah.
They will only use the same 3 monsters in every reboot, and every time they do something new, no one wants to see it, and it's like, oh,
it's a very hard line to walk, because it's what happens the bigger the IP gets.
mm-hmm.
The bigger it gets, the more you have to shepherd it and handhold it, because the fandom gets larger and they get very intense about what they love. It like Star Wars example. You know, that's a very hard nut to crack. The prequel, because I remember the prequels. You know, growing up, to me, Star Wars was always there. Like my sister remembers when it came out. She saw it in theaters when it came out. But I grew up like Return of the Jedi was like the last of the Star Wars movies that had come out. So I do remember that coming out. But like Star Wars was always there. And then the prequels came along, and you know, there was the reaction to the prequels. And you know, it was that, you know, did not get the reaction that they wanted. Oh, Indy's back.
Yeah. So yeah, I heard you when you said Star Wars was always there.
Star Wars was always there. Yeah. Like as far back as I can remember, Star Wars was always there. Like I remember sleeping on Star Wars bed sheets. Yep. Did I lose you?
Yeah, I didn't get into Star Wars when I was younger. I think I got into it more when they did the special editions.
Yeah, because I remember the special editions.
Yeah, that was a fun experience.
It was really cool. Because I remember the tickets selling out like that, and it was a big deal to get a ticket.
Yeah,
especially for opening, which I saw all the special editions opening night.
Oh, nice. That was what I did with the X-Men movies.
The X-Men movies?
Yes. I loved the X-Men growing up, and like whenever those would come out, I was just on board.
You're like, this is my jam. Oh, dude, the X-Men were great though. And also, like, I don't think people realize, like, superheroes were not a thing yet.
No.
Like they did not, superhero movies were not certainly at the feet. You know, now we talk about fatigue, where people are actually tired of them.
Which is nuts to me.
Yeah, it's crazy because like they did not exist prior to, you know, to our existence. Like superheroes were, you know, it was not cool. We had Blade.
Mm-hmm.
Blade came out, and Blade was awesome, but he wasn't like a superhero in capes and tights kind of thing.
Yeah, it was more the comic book movie.
Yeah. It was very much a comic book movie. And then X-Men came out, and you had Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, and he had the claws, and they made it work. It looked cool.
Yeah. It was very controversial at the time because he was so tall.
Because he was tall, yeah. People were pissed. See, even then, the fans were pissed about it. And admittedly, so was I. Like, one of my gripes.
But at the same time, around that time, if you tried to fan cast it, there was no one you could really put in the role. Like, I know they talked about Russell Crowe doing it, but if you look back, you would have seen Russell Crowe.
Yeah, I don't think Russell Crowe would have been I don't know, man. I don't know if that would have worked.
Yeah, certain roles, I think it's better to have people's introduction into film, like, because then you sort of like, you don't have any preconception of who should play that kid. Like, that's Wolverine,
Yeah.
There's no question about it. Hugh Jackman ruined Wolverine for anyone else who has to play Wolverine.
He's got whoever is the next Wolverine has a really hard job.
Yeah.
He was the Wolverine, and I thought Logan was like a perfect send off for the character and for him.
Yeah, I did like Logan.
So you just know that like whoever is coming after that they've got a hell of a job. I guess
deleted Joker scene from the Batman.
I saw that. I watched it.
What's your take on that?
Well, here's the thing: is like I am glad that they cut it because I think it would have changed the pace of the movie, and it would have changed the intensity of it, and it might have taken us out of it. So I'm glad they took it out, but I'm also glad that they filmed it.
Sure.
And I thought his Joker was, well, it's already been called out, but he's doing a bit of a Heath Ledger, but I love the look. The look was the chemical burns. And so to me, he looked like he was fresh out of the vat. And that's what I took away is he's like very recently fallen in. Like, and so I assume it was very fresh.
So this is that was Batman's first deal.
I think so. I think it was either his first deal or it, but you could tell they had kind of a history, at least in the scene. But I think that's the angle they were going through is they really went with he fell into a vat of chemicals, which is awesome.
Now, see, I would actually, I'm a little burnt out on Joker.
No, we all are.
But I wouldn't mind him carrying himself as like a Hannibal Lecter to the Clarice.
Yeah, I think that's a perfect space for him. Because I agree, we are all Jokered out. We've seen so many Jokers, and they've all been amazing. But you're right, the canon of rogues is so good, and so many that we haven't really seen before. It'd be nice to just like try something wild like that.
Did you see Beware the Batman?
Which one was that?
So that's an animated series that had a tragic.
Oh, that has the cleaner style, right?
Yeah.
It's like I want to say the style is like really sharp.
Yeah, it's very stylized.
Yeah.
But I guess it had a hard time finding an audience on Cartoon Network for various reasons. But HBO has the whole series on HBO Max.
Oh yeah.
And it's really nice. Like, it's just really the only similar thing is Commissioner Gordon and Alfred. But they're, Alfred's a whole like different kind of Alfred. And they just turn everything, really dig deep to get the, obscure characters out in the show. And it's just really refreshing.
I haven't watched that one all the way through, but because at first the style can be jarring to like jump into. You ever experience that with like an animated show? You're like, wow, it's weird to me, and then it takes a while, and then you get into it, and you're like, I love the style. Like, I get why they're making this.
Yeah. No, I had the same reaction when I saw Batman in the show, because he loses the whole top of his head when he was Batman.
Yeah.
but then you realize like he's kind of like, it's like what a lot of people do. It's like the outward appearance or impression of Batman. Like he's literally inhuman creature of the night, like, so it's like they just turn him into that when he's in costume.
It's really cool though. It's a cool that's why we love Batman, is there's so much you can do with him. Change him up in so many different ways.
Are you looking forward to the Flash?
Oh, I am. It'll be interesting to see what they do with Keaton in there. I'm sure they're going to have him run around to the other Batmans as well. I know they said they were going to keep Pattinson out of it. Like that's a separate world, but given at how well the Batman was received, I can't imagine them not putting him in. They have to at least
nod to it or
have considered it, because I'll tell you, after the success of Spider-Verse and multiverses are the thing.
Yeah,
it's super hot right now.
Yeah, I think like that kind of as much as like there's superhero movie fatigue, I think we're gonna get multiverse fatigue.
That's gonna happen too. And then what will happen after multiverse fatigue will be crossover fatigue, because once these companies learn that they can rake in even more money, having these characters cross over, it'll be, and I don't see us going down that way for like another 5 years at least, because these companies and their massive lawyers all have to fight over it. But if you ever got an Avengers DC crossover, it would be insane. I don't know if that'll ever happen.
Yeah.
What about you?
Well, I find it funny like that. I think it'll happen sooner than later.
Do the pop.
My audio cut out again?
Yep, do the pop. There we go.
Okay.
There we go.
Okay. That's so bizarre.
It's I don't know, man. It's wild, but you know what? We're managing it.
It's funny, like when Batman Superman initially came out, and essentially Ben Affleck's in a robot suit. I was like, why didn't they just get Keaton? Like, he's an aging Batman anyways. He's older, he's seasoned. And we've only had one film with this Superman. Like, there was no, I call it like the culture of film,
Yeah.
Like, for me, like a big reason why Predators didn't really hit for me is, when Predator 1 and Predator 2 came out, it's sort of it's a pay-per-view of a movie. Let's have an alien fight Mr. Universe. Like, okay, we're in the city. Let's have an alien fight the biggest, baddest cop, in movies right now. Like, coming off the Lethal Weapon stuff. And then it's like, let's have an alien fight the pianist. And
yeah.
Yeah. Like, I always joke, but it's like Expendables and Predators were relatively close together. Like, that just should have been the cast of that movie. Because then you're sort of, you're playing into the legacy of everything involved. And it's like, I'm hoping this new one is going to be really good. I think they're calling it Prey.
Oh yeah. I think that sounds really cool. And I like the time traveling aspect.
Yeah. I do think that it's a period piece because it's new. And that's one thing they haven't done with it yet.
Exactly, and it's also like taking it back to its roots. The the hunter and the the prey. Yeah, it's a very cool concept. So I hope that they do it right, because that franchise is if they don't do something new and exciting with it, it's on its legs, its last legs there.
Yeah, it's I don't know. It's a hard save, but I'll say this, like Regina was playing Predator Hunting Grounds for a while. And so there's all these tapes from Arnold Schwarzenegger's character telling about his story after Predator. And it's video game content, but it's like it was still a nice, cohesive story, like that carries on, and it's like it's more about than just expanding the lore, but like those movies don't travel with any of the characters, which I think is a big issue.
Yeah, they don't there's no character that goes through everything. Like Sarah Connor. There's no Sarah Connor for the Predator series.
There's no Ripley.
There's no Ripley.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Because there's no one really carrying the franchise forward other than the creature itself.
Yeah.
And the lore behind the creature. That's interesting.
That's why I say it's like it's a pay-per-view, so the Predator's the star of the movie, but who are you going to get him to fight? Like they have to be as much of a draw as the alien. Like
it's kind of Godzilla versus Kong a little bit in there too. Yeah, it's a big ticket. Yeah. It's a big ticket, rock'em sock'em monster fight.
That's why I'm surprised The Rock has not fought the Predator yet.
Yeah, you'd think he would have wanted to do that. Maybe maybe they'll get John Cena.
You know what? That would be great.
It would be great
because he looks like a young Arnold.
I would like to see John Cena, The Rock. Oh God, who else? Throw in Idris Elba.
Oh, I love that. I love him. Yeah.
If we just get like a bunch of the biggest dudes to do another Predator movie like that, that would be hilarious.
Yeah. But this time Arnold's the one giving them the mission.
Yeah. He could be the grizzled general.
Yeah, that would
it'd be fun to see his character, some kind of through line. I'm sure they must have talked about that at some point.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Because you don't not talk about it. I mean, because they have these IPs, they just sit there and they're like, we need to keep making, because they have license agreements and limitations on the agreement. They have to make so many movies to hold on to the IP. Otherwise, someone else will buy it and do whatever they want with it.
Yeah, I think that's how you get a bit of the rough ones, because when they're trying to knock something out.
Yeah, because they're. I feel that way with like Resident Evil. It was that way with a lot of them for a long time. Oop.
I really enjoyed the very first Resident Evil. Because I don't know if anyone.
The first one is great.
Yeah,
I mean it's not perfect, but it's a fun movie. It's not quite Resident Evil, but it is its own thing.
It was originally intended to be a prequel to the first game.
Oh, weird.
Yeah. And then Capcom released Resident Evil 0, and that just was like, no, we're not doing that.
I didn't know that. I didn't know it was supposed to be a prequel.
Yeah, it was there in there were like like interviews with Paul W.S. Anderson where he wanted to explain how the mansion, kicked things off, and that's sort of where he was coming from with the whole thing.
Huh.
I met him. I met him on a TV show, and he had lunch at a table that some of us were sitting at, and I just go to
You
him.
guys just realized that you were sitting next to.
Yeah, well, I knew it was him, but he had sat at our table, and I just go to him. I go, dude, I love Mortal Kombat. And he looked at me as if I was messing with him. And I go, no, I'm not joking. I go, and I have a Mortal Kombat tattoo on my leg. I go, I love Mortal Kombat. He goes, really? I go, yes, it was amazing.
He thought you were full of shit.
Yeah. I was like, no, I was in 6th grade. It was the greatest thing ever.
Oh, dude, I saw it in theaters. I remember it was the greatest thing. I mean, that was the adaptation that we got, and it was very hard to beat.
Still is.
It still is it's still the one to beat.
Yeah.
Because it was
new Mortal Kombat.
It had story issues, for sure. But I think narratively, definitely suffered some issues. There's a lot of stuff that they did get right that was really cool. But then it really does devolve into silliness pretty quick.
Yeah. I had a big issue with the whole summer camp find your special talent thing.
Yeah, that was it for me too. Is the key as well? It was never something that was never introduced in any of it.
Yeah.
And then suddenly it's oh, you get a special power and you get a special power, and it was that's where it broke down for me.
Yeah. Just choices.
There were some choices, you know what I mean? And I think if they'd kept it smaller even, and just kept it to Sub-Zero is stalking you, right? You have this guy who's out, he's killing people. We don't know what's going on. If they had shrunk it a little bit, and instead of introducing us to Outworld right away, why not just introduce us to one guy? Because the intro is bomb, right? They're fighting in Japan, and it's we see this guy just murder people, and it's mysterious and it's crazy to us. And then if you have Sub-Zero stalking people and you don't know how to stop this guy, that's terrifying. And I think that's a really cool end. And then at the end of the movie, you find out there's this competition in this bigger world. I think that would have been a cooler lead in.
Yeah. Yeah. Just started off slow, but it's having everyone. Oh, let me pop.
Up. He's going to pop. And that's my thoughts on Mortal Kombat. Stay tuned next time when I'll tell you my thoughts on Mars Attacks. There we go. But what were your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I mean, I felt kind of gypped because having a lot of the main characters die pre-tournament.
Yeah. Yeah, it's you either got to show the tournament or don't.
Yeah, and then the Goro fight on a farm.
Yeah, that one too was also weird. That was a weird
I think if they had done, you remember that Mortal Kombat pitch film that came out years ago?
I'm trying to remember that.
It was they sort of did a gritty reimagining of Reptile and Baraka, like how do you bring that how do you ground a concept like that.
Yeah.
And then like Reptile was like a person who grew up with that what is it, ichthyosis or whatever.
Oh yeah.
And so it's like, oh, okay, like I get it. He's got the reptile look, but he's just a guy who's a killer.
He's just a dude who's like,
yeah,
he's a killer.
And I feel like if they would have like went that route, I would have like bought into a concept like the new movie more. But it's like you have the magic, and then you have the real world surroundings, and it's like you got to find a balance and a proper backdrop for everything.
Yeah, I find that you, with audiences, you either have to go all in on the fantasy part, or you have to lead us in there. You have to ground everything first to lead us in. So movies where they really build up the world first and then they introduce a fantastic element, because like a tournament, an otherworldly tournament is that's fantasy. It's high fantasy, so you got to lead us in there. I think the original movie, the original Mortal Kombat, did a really good job of like introducing the world, and then here are the stakes.
Yeah.
But for all the stuff that like the new Mortal Kombat got wrong, fuck man, there's some cool stuff in there. That Sub-Zero, I thought especially, was the most interesting, kind of piece of that.
Yeah, he was great.
And
he was his mask was a little big on his face, but
yeah, a little big on the face. I wish it was a little bit. that's the designers in us.
Yeah. Honestly, a lot of my issues are like, come on.
Yeah. Like, why not just like shave that puppy down a little bit, get a little bit tighter?
Yeah, I know it printed like that. Like,
and it takes away too, because it's so weighty, and when he's trying to talk, he's trying to get it to move. So it's kind of holding on to the face, so it doesn't read menacing. It's like I worry about, like, is that too bold for him? Is he uncomfortable? All right. So what are you doing? You're doing some feathers?
Yeah, actually at work I've been having to use nanomesh a lot for stuff.
Yeah.
So I've just been kind of like trying to get a handle on the nanomesh plugin and learn more about it. But I've only been using it for mechanical things right now, so I'm just trying.
What well take me through it, because I like those feathers. Did you have those pre-made, or is that
Oh, I just made. So what I did, do I need to pop out again, or do you guys still?
No, you're good.
Okay. So pretty much you can do this in any order or either order, but I just made a little low poly insert mesh brush using dynamics.
Yeah.
I can just play back what I did. So yeah, so if you're doing leaf or grass or anything like that, I just grab a plane and then remove what you need. And then, so once you get a shape that you want, I don't Q mesh that. I don't Q mesh that often, just because I'm not like, it's a little too destructive for certain things.
You mean zero meshing, or?
No, so I actually use Z Modeler a lot now because having to print stuff.
Yeah, you got it.
You need to get a good control over your topology and your points when you're doing stuff like this. Because here's the thing to keep in mind: when you're working at a place, they may not have a computer that's spec'd up to what you're used to working on.
Yeah, exactly.
So, so as much as like you just want to jump in and Dynamesh and have 10 million points in your thing, like you're not always gonna be on a machine that can handle it. So the other thing is like you can, wrong. Okay. So the other thing is you can like Q mesh to get your, to make this more of a solid form. Let's go polygroup file. Right. So you can pull that out, but you don't always get good results. But what I like to do is if you guys turn on your dynamic. So if you go to dynamic, it's going to, you can set what subdivision levels you see. Where am I at? So it's in your geometry menu. And so if you have just a plane, you can define a thickness to that plane. Oh, I did not delete. Okay.
You're setting up dynamic thickness with that.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
And so once I do that, I just polish by groups.
And I see you got your whole custom menu going on.
Yeah. So
gotta build a custom menu.
Yeah, no, that's vital. I didn't do it for a while because I'm like, no, I'm gonna learn the ins and outs and stuff.
You were stubborn, and then finally you're like, I am tired of digging through menus for the same button. Yeah.
And I even I don't know if you do this, but I put enable customize on the custom menu so I can just it's ever changing.
Yeah. That's the other thing I tell my students is your interface is liquid. Like it's always changeable. Like make it better, change it, dump it, rebuild it, do it like what do I have on my timeline? I don't know if you've seen my interface. This is the chaos. But what a lot of people don't know is that you can hold control and slide your bars across like this. Mm-hmm. So you can create an infinite bar of stuff if you want. That just scrolls and scrolls and scrolls. Nice. So I'll do that. That's kind of how these are built, is just so they'll slide up here, and then I have other sliders at the bottom as well. You can't see it because there's too much like crap in the way, but all my bars are kind of slidable like this. So what I've done is I've just barfed everything out from the menus on top of them on top here, just to speed it up. Yeah, it's all barfed out. So anyway, continue up on your leaf, on your feather.
Oh, so in this case, just to populate that, and I also, I want to get that variety without sculpting everything. So I'm going to create plane with the shape that I need, and then I can control the thickness with dynamics. And this is all just to create an insert mesh object. And so let's see. I try not to smooth it. I try to smooth my shape out. So it's not, because when you do smooth, it's gonna, make everything more dense, and I'm not looking to do that. Mm-hmm. So then you can apply. And so now you just got your shapes polygrouped. And then I can just add my vein. Go on the other side, isolate the polygroup, add your vein. And then once I'm here, you can just go into Gizmo, lengthen it out. Just get it to where you want it. I actually left it prior just the way I had it. But then you can go over here and twist and give it some life. go to bend arc. And then you can just go over here, create insert mesh brush, create a new one. And so now when we go over here, I'll walk through this again. You go to your Z modeler, and there's a command for polygroup, insert nanomesh. So you're just going to insert it, and you're just going to see a square centered in all your nanomesh, and all your polys. And then I just go make sure you have your insert mesh brush selected, and I just go replace nanomesh from brush. And so now I have my insert mesh where the cube used to be. So you can size it up, start getting a bearing. Also, every time you insert a nanomesh, there's a little index slider here, so you can group them differently so they don't affect each other. So just every time you do that, there's a different index of nanomeshes. So like I can go to the one I just previously created and size that up if I need.
That's really cool.
It's really good for hair follicles, like, and feathers, and if you're engineering.
Yeah. I think the part that I would emphasize is that you have the follicle built. So you have that geo for the feathers to grow out of. So it's not like you're just growing them out of nothing.
No, yeah.
You know?
Yeah,
you have to create something for them to latch onto. That's really cool. I've been using fiber mesh for that.
Oh, really?
But yours has the what drew me to yours is you have the spine of the feather. You know, you have that little follicle in there, and so it looks great. It looks really effective. It's like the thing that people always have trouble with is like hair and feathers. You know, like how I get that question a lot is how do you do feathers or hair?
Yeah, it's cool. I tried using fiber mesh for a while, and it just didn't. I didn't like the output in Keyshot because it didn't. It just didn't handle it well, and so actually in Keyshot, what I started doing is I actually started sculpting a lot of hair as a base, and then painting over it. Just because
you know what it might be. It's let me switch over and I'll show you. It's this little guy right here. So check this before you take fibers into Keyshot. So it's in the fiber mesh menu, and then you go to BPR settings, and it's this little subdiv slider right here. So if that's crashing your Keyshot, check if you have this subdiv slider, because here's the thing: is fiber is BPR related, because you're sending it over to Keyshot via BPR. So I made it a button up here, my subdiv slider for fur. I'll click this guy. Here we go. So like this, for example, you can see my subdiv slider isn't set. It's set to 2. So it's dividing your fibers twice before it sends it to Keyshot. So if you turn that off, it should actually render faster now. So watch out for that guy. The other thing you can do is you turn on fast preview, and you can actually dial up and down your fibers this way. So you can actually so this previs slider right here. So if you're this acts like grooms in like I want to say what's it called, XGen. So it kind of acts like guide hair that way. Yeah. And then when you're done, you pipe it up all the way and you turn off fast preview, and there you go. And this is flat-sided geometry, so there's no thickness. But you got to make sure you hit that subdiv slider, otherwise it'll make you pay for it. So I'll send mine over real quick.
Nice.
It's a beefy boy because I'm sending over a lot. A lot of crap in here.
Oh, nice.
Almost there. Almost there. There we go.
Mm.
And so what I've noticed is that, there's no real like difference in how it looks. It actually looks pretty good.
Yeah.
There we go. There we go. Okay. So with that subdiv slider turned off, you can send it all over. And you're actually sending the real poly amount. You're not subdividing, because right now this is 500,000. So if you subdivide it twice, that's what? That's a lot. I'm not going to math it.
Nice.
So I think you're lagging again. Let me send you a signal.
Yeah, I'll have to mess around with that next time I need to use something like this. Oh.
I think it happens when there's just a lot of stuff going on. Let's see. There we go. How's that? Any better?
That's good. Yeah, no, I was still hearing you through the.
Okay. It was popping again, but it's a good trick. It's a good little trick.
Yeah. It's funny because fiber mesh is one of those things that like we don't really get to use or have to use that often. So when you do it, it feels like everybody's just always like relearning it when they have to utilize.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, because hair and fur, that's that's a different department.
Yeah, exactly.
They're gonna do it on their own, on their end. But occasionally you have to do some fur. Yeah, that looks great though.
Yeah, it's fun.
And then how do you get them? How do you get them to flow in the same direction?
So when you go down here in nano mesh, there's an align to normal.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
And then you just got to mess with sliders till you get what you need. But what's cool about it is if you don't want, like, they have all variance sliders. So if you can model one, but if you want something to be different sizes, you it'll just randomize a seed and let you populate it not so rigidly.
Yeah, because you want that breakup.
Yeah.
Because if everything looks too even, or then it just breaks the illusion.
Yeah, it's that's kind of been it's kind of a big challenge, is hiding the fact that a computer aided in it.
I wish you could copy and paste them arrays. Because like, wouldn't it be easier to just like have, you know, copy and paste your arrays? I don't think we can do that yet.
You mean like an array mesh?
Yeah, you should be able to copy and paste those, right?
I believe.
Oh yeah, yeah, you can.
Yeah, there's presets.
Okay. What oh, you have you're on 21.
Yeah, so so I have the thing about like I have to like maintain
You have to maintain the old ones for work.
Yes, yeah. Just in case you come across files that, you know, need to be opened or edited, or send something to somebody who's not up to date on it. So,
nothing like someone sending you stuff and you're like, oh, can't open it.
Oh yeah, that'll happen.
All the time. And ZBrush is not backwards compatible either.
No. You deal with a lot of just getting OBJ and making it work.
Yes, that's the big one. It's just export. So over here, I'm making a goblet of fire, and to do this, I'm actually using cloth pole. So to create like an organic looking flame, this is a much kind of nicer way than if I was like to try and sculpt it. So you just take a little bit of low res geo, subdivide it, and then use the cloth solvers on that. And then if you want to create other additional flames, and I have subdivisions on that, there we go. And duplicate it around, create other little smaller minor flames this way.
Oh, that's nice.
I don't really have a story for this guy, but he's kind of got him worshiping a magic goblet, magic fire goblet. Getting pretty close. I think next week I'll probably start doing material passes on all that and everything else. So let me ask you this, Adam. How do you balance your life with work being as intense as it is?
Oh, poorly. No, it's just I mean, honestly, for everything, it's just time management. Kind of like, I mean, relative to like the working overseas at the park and everything, you just like, I'm the type of guy that doesn't let go. Like I gotta be there because something's gonna go wrong and this and that. But you just kind of gotta force yourself to take time for yourself and you know, relax and you know, decompress and meditate or whatever it is
whatever it is that you do, whatever your outlet is for letting go.
Yeah. I will say though that like, even like I don't watch a lot of like I watch television with my girlfriend, but like if I'm on my own, I'll mainly watch like educational stuff. Like I finally understand, like, you know, like my dad watching Discovery Channel all the time. Like, you know,
yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, you don't have much time left. You want to learn as much as you can. Like, So I'm always like even if I'm like having downtime, it's always something educational, whether it's like, movie history or tutorials in the background, or so I do like, that's part of the way I can like take time off, is like if it's beneficial in some way.
You feel like you don't feel the guilt.
Exactly.
Yeah, I know the guilt. And I've learned to kind of come to peace with it, because I know that downtime is just as important, because you may not get it again for a while.
Yeah.
So I've really learned to cherish it when I do get it.
Yeah, that's another big thing, is like utilizing the
Yeah, actually,
like,
and you have to shut that part off of your brain, because it's incessant. Like, is what do we do when we take a break? Right, we sit there, we watch some kind of content, we look at our phones, we look at art on our phones, and then you start feeling guilty because you're looking at art on your phones and you're not making art.
mm-hmm.
And so you do this back and forth in your head of like, well, I need to relax, but oh, you should be working.
I will say though, there is something like I always have a sketchbook with me.
Yeah, that's that too.
That's what I like to do. Like, I actually like to do that. And so it is one of those things where it's like, work sometimes doesn't. The only thing that really feels like work is the pressure.
Yeah.
Everything else I would be doing normally.
I know what you mean. I know exactly how you feel about that.
Yeah. So it's not too bad.
Yeah, it's not too bad until the pressure's on.
Yeah.
But that's also the irony, is like we're putting the pressure on ourselves.
Oh yeah.
Let's see. Let's do a check-in. Let's see how your guy came across so far. Now I've been working on my dude. This is week 2 of working on this guy, so I'm a little bit ahead. If you were putting in the time on this guy, you'd be further along. Though,
oh yeah,
for a short like 2-hour burst, man, because I know you started this, but like to see the feathers coming in, that's really cool.
Yeah. How I normally would work is like, I sketch. Like, I do a lot of my ideation on pencil.
Yeah.
Because I have noticed, like, when I'm playing in ZBrush and just whatever, like, it'll take me longer to find something I like.
Yeah.
But if I'm like rapidly sketching, like, I still use alchemy. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah.
Or
I loved alchemy.
Like, I'll still use that, so I'll sketch out a lot of that just to see where I want to go with it. And let me see.
Yeah, you have to be like flexible enough to like sit there and thumbnail out something and then get an idea from that and then push that to 3D if you want.
Yeah, like, see if I have any project. Really bad at posting the project.
As am I.
Yeah, I'll just post like one thing, and what do I have silhouettes for? Oh my God.
Like actually posting the process.
Yeah, I'm really bad.
Yeah, I'm terrible about that stuff.
So like, this is what all my meeting notes look like.
Yeah.
So like,
yeah, totally.
I'll say just stuff like this, and then even if I'm working on a design, like I have sketches that won't see the light of day.
Yeah, totally.
it's a lot of stuff, and I'm sure you guys have seen this kind of stuff around and been taught it at school and whatnot. But I'll do this to figure out where I want to go with it, because you can make a lot of decisions in this process without pushing around the digital light, so to speak. So
without committing as much time, for sure.
Exactly.
Because 3D is it's an amazing tool, but you also have to like be able to commit very quickly to what you want.
Right, to get it to look good.
And sometimes design, there's a million different choices you can make. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So
and a lot of times, like if I'm, this really depends on the client, but sometimes clients can't understand this.
Yeah.
They're like, it's not photorealistic. And it's like, yeah, I'm not going to spend a week giving you something photorealistic if it's not the right direction. But it's like, so you can do a lot of quick decision making and like get someone to hone on a direction with a sketch more so than.
Yeah, you can make decisions faster on Sketch, but until they need like that final image to sell it.
Exactly.
And then they need the realism, because I get it now, is they need to sell this up. They have executives that they got to sell to, marketing people. There's a whole, especially on a project, there's a whole machinery behind it that sometimes we don't, as concept artists, we don't think about, but there's a huge amount of people working on stuff, and you are a part of that cog in that wheel.
I do catch myself like in my art director brain once in a while, because like I'll see people working on something super detailed and designed and finite, and I'm like, what's the return on this? Like
that's a very art director brain thing to say. Yeah. Up some wrinkles. Yeah, those feathers look awesome, man. That's really great. It's really cool. And feathers, doing any feather is just, it's time consuming, because they gotta, we know what feathers look like instinctively.
Yeah, it's I don't recommend doing this. If you have something, don't do this entirely. Like doing sculptural stuff, like to blend it off, and then this is where you get your depth from on other elements.
Someone was asking, what can you show the elongating of the feathers? You were doing that with array mesh, right? And then or nano mesh.
Nano mesh, yeah.
And then were you pulling those out afterwards?
Yeah. So I'll walk through that one more time. I can demo it on Sphere. Might be easier to see. Okay. So the way I do, and by the way, there may be a quicker way to do this. That everyone has a different path that they follow in ZBrush. So you're gonna go in your Z modeler, and you're gonna. I won't go too heavy in explaining how to use the tool, but there's 3 levels of command: edge, vertex, and poly. And you're gonna go to insert nanomesh, and you're gonna go to polygroup island. So once you do this, you can drag it out, go to nanomesh, select your insert mesh brush that you want, and then you're going to go replace nanomesh from brush. So now you have all your feathers. You can size them up to see them. And you can see them right there. Now, if you want to lengthen them, you have a height slider and a length and a width. So based on the orientation, down's going to be towards it. So it's going to, height is going to be your length of the feather, that is. Then in order to break it up, you do random distribution. And then also with your height, you can vary it. So
yeah, it's awesome.
And then the more, you know, and this is an insert mesh brush. So once you dial in your feather, or if you want to change it, you can actually, relative to, this will be relative to this. So this won't change your original insert mesh brush. You can go to edit mesh.
That's right. It's a great little like post edit tool.
Yeah, let's just say you want it more wavy or whatever you want.
I want a wavy feather. Those feathers aren't
go.
wavy enough. Oh, that's cool.
And I like using this for like, I've done some like different spider creatures. Like this is great for the barbs and the hair. You know, because you get that, I call it the predator barb. You get that like thick kind of quill.
Yeah.
And so I like to do that with the nano mesh. The other thing you can do is so when you commit this to mesh, you know, it'll create the geo. So you go 1 to mesh, and now you have a polygroup and your original polygroup, and so you can separate it, and then split hidden, right? And then so now I can go back in on my original thing and do a different, you know, do insert nano mesh, go to my other insert mesh brush, right? And then replace nano mesh from brush. So now I have my other feather that I was working with. So now we'll go 1 to mesh. So now I got all this texture going on. So now I have all this depth and layer and everything. And you can sort of just keep compounding everything on, you know, onto a singular form if you want to like really build up your layers and different effects.
Get that nice variation in there.
Yeah.
Because that's what it's all about is you don't want, you know, just look at any photo of a bird and you'll see like how uneven a lot of them are.
Yeah.
Because they're getting roughed up. They're moving around. Hi, it's my first time here. Huh? Well, welcome. I go to a 3D school in Montreal. But what is Gnomon School? So Gnomon is a visual effects school in West Hollywood, California. It's primarily geared towards film and game. Getting students a bachelor's degree, and then taking them through the pipeline process. So come into Gnomon, you learn 3D, and you come out with a killer reel. I recommend checking out our student reels. So if you want to see what students are doing, check them out. I am an alumnus of Gnomon. So I graduated Gnomon in 2010. This was before they had the BA, so I have a CG certificate. So when I went, it was like a trade school, but now it's a accredited school where you can actually get a bachelor's degree in the arts. So I am a former alumnus, and or not a former alum. I am an alumnus, and I am also a teacher there. So I teach creature modeling and sculpting. So you are on Creature Corner, which is just kind of my little my little hangout stream. And I bring on cool people like Adam here, who is a badass working in the film and entertainment industry as a concept artist. So you can see his sketch that he's doing today. What program do you use? I see ZBrush, but do you use Blender or Maya? Adam, do you use Blender or Maya?
So my goal is to learn Blender. Am I still good? Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay. So my goal is to learn Blender. Right now, I'm only using Blender for a pose trick. But
you're doing the Mixamo trick.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's really the only reason I use it right now. But I do work with people who actively use Blender. And honestly, Blender is starting to kind of become preferred and appreciated because it's free.
Yeah.
Which means someone doesn't pay for you to use it at their company. So
yeah, it's definitely more ubiquitous now than it was even a few years ago.
Oh yeah.
So I've also met people in the industry who are working mostly on Blender, but it's eventually they're gonna go through Maya as a hub. So Maya is still kind of the main software that people use. And it obviously every pipeline is different. Some have different modeling programs. I would say the majority of rendering is still done from Maya to a render farm via V-Ray or RenderMan or some other kind of rendering package. So Maya as a modeling tool, or Blender as a modeling tool, or ZBrush, I don't think it really matters as long as you're good at what you do. Another question is, what is the main difference between working in games or film? Games is a whole thing. It is a whole thing. Dev work to get something in game is a very different pipeline than film. We both use 3D as a medium, but you can see the results are very different. Any advice for someone who wants to move into movies rather than be in games? I guess it depends on what you want to do. Film is, it's shot based. So you would be, do you want to be composing shots? Do you want to be doing cinematic character models? I guess it's a wide open range. But I do think that there are skills that are translatable between the two. So if you want to move into movies, my advice is to build a portfolio that would be acceptable. So look at visual effects reels and look at the work that's being done in visual effects reels and say, can I do this? And then start putting together a portfolio that is comparable. So look at artists who are working in the industry today, and that's the benchmark to hit. And you're curious about the work. Do I have an art station? Adam Milicevic. I did it wrong. I blew it.
Yeah.
Melissa, I had it so good earlier, and then I just bombed it. So here's Adam's art station. Again, I'll post it up here so you can see it. Here's Adam's art station. And I'll pull up my art station as well. I haven't updated it in a year plus.
I've been forcing myself to do at least 2 things a month, just for myself. the Skeletor was one of them, just to like
it's
produce
great. Dude.
it quickly. So
You know, you gotta do that personal work. You know, it's keeps you healthy in your brain. Yeah, it looks great, dude.
Yeah.
I've been slow walking my Goliath sculpt, so because now I'm in a phase where I really want to just enjoy perfectionism for a while.
Yeah. You should license that to Sideshow.
Yeah. Hopefully once I get it posed up, you know, and looking good, maybe someone will approach me about it.
Yeah, no, it's great.
But I want to keep working on that and sculpt the other gargoyles as well. So I'm trying to like balance the perfectionism side with also wanting to get the rest of them done too.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's another thing is the trade-off where like, am I gonna paint it or am I gonna let, does it matter?
It's like, because part of me, because I'm debating him right now, because I'm getting to a stage where like I'm getting close to needing topology. It's like I'm questioning, like, do I really want to go down that route, or do I just want to sculpt another one?
Mm-hmm.
You know, but there's also that part of me is like, hey, if I put it out there and someone wants to rig this thing, you know, we could get a really cool rig on that, and it would be amazing.
Yeah, that's actually something I do want to learn. Like, I think it's becoming more and more vital.
I think so as well. And then, you know, it's finding the right tools, you know, and because rigging is very technically oriented. And as a creative person, it's hard to jump in like that. And I've rigged things before, and it's very hard, even to do it, you know, even quote unquote that I know what I'm doing, you know. You take internships. Moon, is that a question for Adam or me? Because I don't offer any kind of internships or anything like that, or any mentoring. If you wanna learn from me, come take my class at Gnomon. And that's only because I have a limited time. So it's kind of like my class is kind of the way that I get stuff out. Or watch us here on Creature Corner. We talk a lot about the process. I'm trying to get some cool shots of my weird folk horror. Next week, I'm going to start applying materials to this thing. Get it looking cool. I have a very, very fast computer, by the way. So this is why it's just like, boom, done.
Yeah, I just got one. Used to be on Mac.
Oh yeah, you have to get off Mac. I have friends that like will only stay on Mac, and I'm like, no, you don't realize how you're limiting your power.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I finally had to make the change.
I'm just trying to find some like cool artsy shots of this that might be it'll be fun to post. And then get it into render as soon as possible. Oh, he's back.
There we go.
And he's back. Yeah, that Tengu is messed up, dude.
Thanks.
That makes me happy. When it's messed up, that makes me happy.
Have you played? My girlfriend's been playing a game called Hunt Showdown.
No, what's that?
So it's long story short, it's a player versus enemy game, and you're teams of cowboy Men in Black bounty hunters, essentially. And you got to go out to the bayou and you hunt down all these crazy looking monsters.
That's rad.
Yeah, it's really cool.
What's it called?
Hunt Showdown.
Hunt Showdown?
Yeah. The creatures in it are great. It's like there's there's like a spider monster made of human body parts, and you got to go and hunt it down, and like it's really neat.
I'm gonna put this on my list. Check this out. I like many people, I'm going through Elden Ring, so there's no hope for me.
I'm not a big video game player. Like I stick to like Street Fighter and like just quick match stuff. Like
I know what you mean.
I discovered Brawlhalla during the pandemic, and it's a Smash Brothers clone, but it's pretty aggressive.
Sounds amazing.
It has its moments, but yeah, you can't play like Saturday nights. Like everyone's just amazing on it, so I can't.
Oh, they just kick your butt.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm blocking out specific time. This, I finished my script, so like I have.
Congratulations!
Oh, thank you. It was. I'm just now getting people to read it.
I have a question for you because I too have started that. The way I'm going about mine is like, it's not I don't want to say it's a creature feature, obviously, but when you lay out, like, did you lay out your story?
Yeah, what I did is I wrote a 10-page treatment.
Okay.
Because the treatment is where the hard work is actually happening. The script is actually easier, slightly easier. But if you've worked everything out and it works in the treatment, then you're good to go. Now, you can do a couple things. You can do beats, which are just bullet points of like plot, right? Like, and I think if you have like 19 beats, then you have a whole story. It's like 20 beats and you have a whole story. So start simple, like sketching it out, and that would be like beats, and then just write a whole treatment. Just block it out, and it doesn't need to be like every little thing that's going on. It just has to be like Sally has a long drive home, and we know what that drive home means. She has a mental breakdown, but right. you just keep it simple. Like, Bob gets his new car. They're just like very, very simple plot points. And you can expand on them as much or as little as you need to. And in my case, I would write through it, and my outline kind of became it also became kind of liquid. Like it would change as I was writing. So I would go back in and I'd plug in new things, and it might be just like a quick note of like, hey, this needs to happen or this needs to happen. So it can be flexible, right? You can adapt it as you're moving forward. So think of your outline as kind of your workspace, right? That's your sketch pad. And then the script, that's where the real work is coming through. So, and just be open. Like things are going to change as you're working on it. You'll get kind of like little inspirations, happy accidents, right? Where you're like, oh, this is cool. Let me put that in there, and this can pay off here, and this and this. So, have your structure, have your outline, and then, just be open to happy accidents. I have a great book recommendation if you're interested.
Is it The Cat?
No, this is better than The Cat.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Save the Cat.
Yeah.
Which I've read, and it's a great book. I recommend this book by Jill Chamberlain. And I'll shoot you this later too. It's called The Nutshell Technique. And this one's great because she actually gives you structure. Like, this is how you structure a play. So that was a game changer for me.
Nice.
So I'll shoot you that link tomorrow. Just bug me and I'll yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I would like to read.
Best show of the week for me. So much fun to listen to while working, and it's 8 a.m. here. Oh my God. You're on the other side of the world. Well, hey, thank you for tuning in. We always appreciate it. Well, let's do last check-in. Let's see how yours went, Adam. Yeah, that's gnarly. So would you?
I will.
Sorry.
What's that?
I was gonna say, are you gonna add more like fleshy, like hanging fleshy bits?
Yeah. So for that stuff, instead of pulling it out of the main mesh, like I'll go and run a dynamic plane over it, give it thickness, and
yeah, it looks great.
Like I try to like move around a lot, so it's like, because I don't want to get bored either.
Same. Yeah,
So,
same here.
Yeah, I'll just start to detail to see, like, as you said, like, what, it's liquid, so what can come out of this? Like, does this make me want to change something on the rest of it? So
What do you have any ideas of where you're gonna go? Are you gonna add, like, it'd be fun if like that skirt was made of flesh too.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna. I had an idea earlier. I wanted to do something that was made of people, and I thought of that. There's a Japanese yokai that's a wall.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so I thought about doing like a wall of flesh, like that has eye, like its face is because of what it's made of and everything. Yeah, I'm kind of, plus, like, I've been wanting to do like a Hunt Showdown kind of character too. So
you're in that space. You're in that headspace. You're like, I got to do. And that's kind of the best part of it, is like when you're inspired and you're like, I want to do that. That's
the key is for me, like, I don't do a lot of like fan art per se. Like, it's always like, if I do a character, I'm reinventing it, or I'm putting my spin on it or something, like, because I can't just like I reproduce things at work a lot because that's the job. So it's like, I want to do something fun, but I want it to be something new at the same time. So
yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, a lot of times it's just like, sculpt this, sculpt that, make this, make that, and you're like, I want to do something else.
Yeah, like a lot of, where is it? Like this guy. This guy is an old Ultraman alien that looked really goofy in the first, like in the old black and white show. But I was just like, okay, how do I like? That's my favorite thing, is take a goofy concept that no one would ever ask you to do in this day and age, and then do it as if somebody asks.
Yeah, do a serious rendition of that.
Yeah, it's my favorite thing to do.
Let me see. There was a question: did I work on the TMNT character designs? Yes, I did. I was on that project for quite a while. So yeah, I did. I worked on Turtles. It was an awesome job. A blast. Well, we're heading to 10:30, so I think that's quitting time. So that looks great, man. I'd love to keep going, but at some point we have to say goodnight. So thanks for hanging out with me tonight, Adam.
Yeah, that was just fun.
And I hope you'll come back. come hang out with us again.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
That was awesome, man. Yeah, I'd love to see some progress on your gnarly Tengu.
Yeah, I'll keep touching and going on this stuff.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Well, thank you to everybody out there for joining me. And if you want to reach out and contact me, I'm at MonsterMash042 on Twitter. And Instagram, I'm at Jared Krichevsky. And if you want to get to know Adam, Adam is at A Civic Dilemma. And that's on Instagram and Twitter too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Instagram and Twitter.
Instagram and Twitter. So Adam Milichevich.
How do I need to pop?
Up. And he's gone. And he's back.
Okay. Yeah, that's Instagram and Twitter.
That's great. So Adam, thanks for hanging out. Thank you to everybody out there. And we'll see you guys next week. Go on and keep making some monsters. Good night. And we love you.
Good night, everybody.